Episode 32, to know too much, revolves around a CIA mole who planted himself with an XOF. After Skullface was killed, the Soviets took over OKB-0 and captured the mole. The CIA has contracted Diamond Dogs to find and extract him before he's determined no longer useful and disposed of as a result. Kazuhira, however, is worried that due to his knowledge of XOF, he could pass on the news of the vocal cord parasite to America. He believes that the knowledge of such a weapon is better left forgotten, so he intends for him to instead be converted to Diamond Dogs. Nevertheless, he needs to be saved. The approximate location of the mole is determined from the beginning of the mission. The deployed combat unit soldiers should be able to see him quickly. The ride to the location proves to be fairly uneventful. Going off-road leaves no one to see him. There are a few walker gear searching the area for the mole as he's escaped, but they weren't bothersome as he found the target before they did. On the cliffside is where the mole lays. Running out of energy from the torture he endured, along with running in general for hours on end, left him there. With opposition dealt with, he's free to be taken to the helicopter to P-Quad 9. The mission went smoothly, with no major injury. After this mission, 2 more become available, but there's a difference between these missions and the ones that came before. The titles are Subsistence C2W and Extreme Backup Back Down. If you remember, minus the brackets, these are titles that have been used before. That's because these are pseudo-historical recreations of previous missions with extra challenges added to them to test Diamond Dog soldiers. Extreme means it's generally more difficult. Reflex mode and the ability to use the chicken hat are removed. Enemies are better armed, many have been changed to heavy infantry, and they have much better ability to spot the deployed soldier. Total stealth means that when the soldier is spotted, instead of combat being initiated, it's an instant game over. Much like European Extreme mode and its equivalents from previous Metal Gear Solid titles. This is not helped by the fact that much like Extreme missions, Reflex mode is removed. Subsistence means that you enter the mission with absolutely no equipment whatsoever. No weapons, no throwable items, no sneaking suits or battle armor, and no vehicles. It's an equipment OSP mission and can easily be considered the most difficult variant of bonus stipulation as a result. And that's the one given to the soldiers for the first recreation, C2W. The objective of this one is to destroy the comms equipment of one of the Soviet bases so that they can't call reinforcements from another. This gives the Mujahideen an easier time at future assaults. The added wind condition to this mission makes it significantly more challenging, yet significantly more boring as well. Without a vehicle to take the deployed soldier to the base from the drop-off point, he had to run all the way there instead. It took the soldier about 4 minutes to make it to his destination on foot. Using the back entrance previously mentioned made the mission a lot simpler, as he didn't have to sneak his way through around 10 guards by going from the front. The soldier took a rocket launcher from one of the guards patrolling the base alone and used it to blow up the main comms equipment from the nearest building. Then, using that same explosion as a distraction, he snuck his way out of the base and flew out of the mission area. The goal of Extreme Backup Back Down is to destroy as many of the Soviets' armored vehicles as possible to help a Mujahideen assault go in their favor. The vehicles this time around are stronger and red color to indicate such. Without top-notch explosive equipment, this is much more difficult to pull off. After the completion of the 2 recreations, Kazuhira gets in contact with a high-ranking combat soldier. He has suspicions that Emmerich still has something to hide from Diamond Dogs, but needs further proof to determine what. He ordered him to return to the Soviet central base camp in Afghanistan to find the mammopod so that it can be inspected for clues. The central base camp is where you first saw Emmerich as well as Sahelanthropus during the events of the Phantom Pain incident. It's crowded as ever, so handling the situation still proves tricky for the soldier. While the mammopod was moved to a separate building, it was still in the base nonetheless. After setting coordinates to the Seychelles, where Mother Base is, the mammopod launches itself to that location. But the soldier's work in Afghanistan isn't done yet, as Ocelot then gets in contact with him. He reports that the intel team has discovered Volgan's body after it was crushed by Sahelanthropus. He's curious as to how he survived all these years solely fueled by hatred and a thirst for vengeance toward Big Boss, so he wants the soldier to recover his body so that it can be studied by the medical team. He's being held at Yako Obu's supply outpost, a base that's rather difficult to sneak through due to its condensed design. Once his body is found, he quickly flares back up, revealing that he's cheated death once again. This time, however, he sheds his skin, showing his true face for the first time in 20 years. Once realizing that his vengeance is pointed towards the wrong person, however, he loses the will to continue onward and finally falls for the last time. As a precaution, his corpse was put in a cell on the quarantine platform along with the skulls. However, he never wakes up again. Volgan is dead. The next mission is titled Cursed Legacy. It revolves around Code Talker's research files being stolen by Zero Risk Security. They've taken them for the sake of handing them over to XOF remnants. That wouldn't be good, as there are crate loads of documents with 50 years worth of studies about the vocal cord parasite and metallic archaea. It's invaluable knowledge, and if they retrieve it before you do, it could kickstart another world-ending dilemma. The mission takes place at the mansion where Code Talker was held captive originally. Based on a hunch that there may be an intel file inside, the deployed soldier sneaks in. Luckily, that hunch was correct, and the location of one of the crates is revealed. The location of the other is discovered after he interrogates one of the zero-risk security soldiers. They are both located in the jungle next to the mansion. After extracting the first container of documents, a 9-minute timer begins, counting down to when the XOF helicopter comes to pick up the second container. However, that container is located just across a small bridge from the first, making for an easy trip. With no opposition left, the soldier safely extracts the second container before going to the chopper and leaving the mission area. The mission went smoothly with no major injury. The next two recreations are Total Stealth, Footprints of Phantoms, and Extreme Trader's Caravan. The objective of Total Stealth Footprints of Phantoms is to destroy or extract 4 walker gears that the CFA bought from the group known as Saner. It's believed that it's simply a front for XOF, and destroying the walker gears could get you closer to them. The deployed soldier had an exceptionally easy time completing this mission. To destroy them without being seen by the enemy, he stood atop a hill overlooking the base and tossed grenades at the walker gears. Once they were destroyed, he left the mission area without apprehension. The goal of Extreme Trader's Caravan is to extract a truck with cargo meant for delivery to XOF. The contents are potentially important to Skullface's plan. With prior knowledge of this mission, the deployed soldier knew that the truck was located at Nova Braga Airport, so he drove straight there without inspecting the intel file. The skulls emerged from the truck and attacked him. Due to this being extreme difficulty, the skulls are much more difficult to defeat. Luckily, it was not required to complete the mission, so the soldier simply escaped and left the mission area. Back on Mother Base, one of the children who was previously a soldier was tragically killed in a freak accident involving a burst pipe. The other children were discontent with this and blamed it on the adults of Diamond Dogs. Due to this, multiple children have managed to escape Mother Base and are scattered around the areas of operation in Afghanistan and Central Africa. 2 soldiers have been deployed to find and retrieve them. In the meantime, a new mission has been added to the list. It is titled Extraordinary. This mission revolves around a film canister containing top-secret info on XOF's previous plans that can potentially offer extra clarity on the situation. An intel team member was able to retrieve it, but was killed before being able to bring it back to base. Thankfully, he hid the canister somewhere in Spoogmay Keep. He took a picture of its hiding place for us, but the image is of low quality and the details are hard to make out. While Soviet soldiers searched for the canister on behalf of the KGB, the deployed soldier waited for the support team to up-res the image enough for the hiding spot to become clear. While Soviet soldiers searched for the canister on behalf of the KGB, the deployed soldier waited for the support team to up-res the image enough for the hiding spot to become clear. After some time passed, they succeeded in doing so, and the soldier was able to retrieve the canister hidden in a crack within a stone pillar. The mission went smoothly, with no major injury. In Central Africa, the first child was located at Mfinda oil field, where he was taken captive by CFA soldiers likely to be put back on the battlefield. The second was also being held captive at the mansion. In Afghanistan, the first child climbed up a stone structure as a group of bears had chased him. The second was hiding from Soviet soldiers at Lamar Hate Palace. The third is at Desmase Laman, where rogue zombified Soviet soldiers who were infected by the skulls were in the process of attacking him. Luckily, the soldier was able to save the child before he was seriously hurt. Through them, it was revealed that it was Liquid who put them all up to this. They intend to start an uprising and kill all of the adults on Mother Base. This can be brushed off as they are just a few children with no weapons against thousands of trained soldiers. That doesn't explain why he had them escape Mother Base, however. Ocelot will interrogate him to find out why this was. There are 2 more recreations to do in the meantime: Total Stealth Over the Fence and Extreme Cloaked in Silence. The goal of Total Stealth Over the Fence is to rescue a Soviet bionics expert who intended to defect before being apprehended. It's believed that he can create upgrades for your bionic arm, so it's best that he's brought on board Diamond Dogs. The total stealth approach isn't too difficult for the deployed soldier, as all that has to be done is take the back entrance of the base and take the stairs down into the building where the defector is being held. From there, only one guard needs to be handled before grabbing him. After fultoning him through a hole in the ceiling, the soldier took the same entrance back out and exited the mission area. Extreme Cloaked in Silence is a recreation of the fight with the sniper Quiet. This one is much more difficult, as this time around one shot is all it takes to kill the deployed soldier. Although, unlike last time, the equipment that the R&D team has developed, particularly the snipers, are much more powerful. So overall, it still wasn't that difficult for him. Alternatively, the supply drop trick still works. It's harder to pull off, however, as she will dodge it if the soldier doesn't use strategy. When he distracts her with something, such as putting himself in the open so she shoots at him, she won't see the supply drop coming and will get hit by it. While it doesn't do as much damage as it did last time, it's still a useful trick. After defeating her, she will fall unconscious for the soldier to take her to the helicopter and leave the mission area. It's strange, though. Seeing these events play out again reminds me of the old version, during better times. Am I forgetting something? Are you? Moving on. There's a new mission on the list. It is titled Proxy War Without End. This mission is a contract from the MPLA to stop an attack from the CFA against them. The goal is to destroy multiple armored vehicles, tanks, and a helicopter. It's rather simple and can be seen as being reminiscent of Back Up, Back Down, although it is easier as there are fewer vehicles that you need to deal with. With strong firepower, the deployed soldier is able to destroy the vehicles with ease. This goes to show just how powerful Diamond Dogs has become. Very little poses a threat to your soldiers at this point. The mission went smoothly, with no major injury. Ocelot was eventually able to crack through Liquid's shield and get information out of him. He wanted to see you, but Ocelot wouldn't give him that as it would give him power in this situation. And with the news that all of the escaped children have been returned, he breaks. He even begins to cry, which is unexpected of him. The original hypothesis was that they were attempting to return to their homelands and live as they did before you came in. But as it turns out, that was incorrect. They all had scores they wanted to settle. They only live fueled by the desire for revenge, much like Diamond Dogs, and much like Liquid. His crying is then revealed to actually be laughter, and his grand plan is revealed. His intense rage and desire for vengeance against Big Boss haven't gone away, and he's still in league with Psycho Mantis as a result. And somehow, Sahelanthropus is working again. It crashes through the walls of the interrogation room, and despite your best efforts, you couldn't stop Mantis. Liquid enters the cockpit and Sahelanthropus flies out of the interrogation room. With him, a helicopter with all of the children the soldiers just saved. In this situation, Liquid was the victor, and he successfully escaped with no clear destination known. However, you can't help but feel somewhat indifferent toward this turn of events. Sahelanthropus being here was a hazard as it was. Its disappearance is probably for the best. And if Liquid wants to be his own man and do what he chooses to do, so be it. There's no point in trying to stop that. He can do whatever he wants with his new psychic best friend.
Psycho Mantis. What a pathetic man. He was born with all the right tools, but he never knew how to use them.
We have another recreation on the mission list, Extreme Metallic Archaea. This one follows the events of the mission Code Talker, and your helicopter is attacked by the skulls using Metallic Archaea to wear it down. It crashes, which originally led to the unfortunate death of Pequod 6. The goal is to defend Code Talker from the incoming attack. This is the only mission where it is mandatory that the skulls are defeated. With the knowledge of the increased difficulty from them, the deployed soldier came readily prepared with a machine gun and a readiness to strafe out of harm's way. The extreme version of them may be trickier to deal with, but fighting them is the same principle, so he doesn't need to do much different in terms of strategy. After dealing with them, the soldier takes Code Talker and brings him to the backup chopper, safely exiting the mission area to cure the vocal cord parasite. And speaking of which, a sudden problem has emerged back on Mother Base. Over on the quarantine platform, the vocal cord parasite has undergone some sort of mutation and started affecting members of the medical team, despite them already being cured. The security and combat team were sent in to assess the situation, and a recording was sent back. It seems that the infected are losing their minds and attacking each other, even though that wasn't a symptom before. Code Talker comes to the conclusion that it wasn't the parasite that's been mutated, but the Wolbachia used to treat it. Either way, it has to be handled. You decide that you'll go in alone and deal with it to stop anyone from getting infected. Going to the quarantine platform, you notice that there are crows oddly circling the building as if they're anticipating their next meal. It's a concerning display. Before entering the building, you receive an audio transmission from a medical team member saying that he understands what's going on. It's unclear where specifically he is, so your first order of business is to find this man and question him. You put on your mask and enter the building. Immediately, things seem dire. There are bodies laying about the area, and those who are still alive are either hanging on by a thread or going crazy. There are a few, however, that seem to be okay. But what's important to you right now is that you find the source of the transmission. and he's found on the top floor, although he's fading fast with a knife in his stomach. The only thing that he can say is that he's no snail before he dies. This is referencing a process that happens in nature where a snail is infected by a parasite and it controls the snail's mind to go out in the open and let itself be taken by a natural predator. Doing this allows the parasite to spread to other organisms. According to a tape that the medical team member left behind, after being infected, he was overcome by an insatiable urge to go outside before dying. The parasite is controlling the infected to do this so that the crows outside would feast on their remains. And much like with the natural predator who eats the snail, this allows the Wolbachia mutated vocal cord parasite to spread through the crows. He was able to stop himself just short of doing this by stabbing himself, hence why he was no snail. The same cannot be said for the other infected, however. Their minds have been taken over, and now they want nothing more than to go outside and allow this parasite to move around the world. Despite your best efforts at keeping them away from the exit, even shooting one in the leg, a group of them managed to get out, only to be met with a napalm strike from the support team. And unfortunately, you had to kill 3 soldiers to stop them from going out as well. The medical team member had a pair of goggles on him that helps identify who's sick and who isn't. Although, now that the risk the infected pose is known, it's become clear that none of them will be allowed to leave under any circumstance. They have to be killed. And so, moving back down each floor of the building, you shoot everyone with symptoms. Some understood, some cursed your name before you pulled the trigger, some begged you to spare them, and some begged you to kill them. But it didn't matter, as the bottom line was that they had to die. But there was one in the corner who actually seemed to be uninfected, so you take him and bring him back to the entrance. But at the last second, he begins to show symptoms, meaning he too had to be shot. In the end, there wasn't a single person besides you that was able to make it out. The parasites spread too rapidly and symptoms showed too quickly. Members of the medical team, the security team, and the combat team had been cut down in numbers significantly. Even Silent Mastodon, who succumbed to the illness before your arrival, wasn't safe. The quarantine building was left a bloody mess of bodies and regret. A memorial service was held the following day. The departed had all been cremated and were to be scattered to the ocean. But right before you begin to empty the first container of ash, you have a change of heart. You ingest a small amount of it to signify that you won't let them leave your side, even in death. As they were all diamond dogs, they should remain as such. And you order that all of their ashes are to be converted to diamonds. Those diamonds would be put onto the logo of everyone's uniform so that, just like before, they belonged to the battlefield. Thus concludes this mission. You have a new set of recreations to go over. Total Stealth Pitch Dark and Total Stealth The War Economy. The goal of Total Stealth Pitch Dark is to stop the flow of oil by destroying the oily water separator tank and shutting down the transfer pump at Infinda oil field. With prior knowledge of the mission, the deployed soldier drove around the village at the start of the mission area and straight to the oil field. From there, he utilized multiple different distractions to get to the separator tank and plant C4. After shutting the transfer pump down, he exited the base and called the chopper before blowing the C4. That way, there's no chance of resistance when exiting the mission area. Total Stealth The War Economy revolves around a CFA official meeting with an arms dealer to give a tour of Nova Braga Airport. The goal is to eliminate the official before it ends and he's escorted out of the country. The deployed soldier moved to the airport and entered from a fence at the back. From there, he snuck into the communications building where the official was and eliminated him. He snuck out of the base from there and exited the mission area without arousing any suspicion. Back on Mother Base, Kazuhira has gathered enough evidence against Emmerich to prosecute him in their own makeshift courtroom. The accusations against him go as follows. 9 years ago, he allowed Skullface and XOF to pose a fake inspection on MSF's mother base. This led to them attacking and subsequently destroying everything you and Kazuhira had built and killing thousands of MSF soldiers. It is believed that he did this because Skullface offered him the resources to create his masterpiece, what would come to be known as Sahelanthropus. After 9 years, he heard about Diamond Dogs making moves in Afghanistan and sent an SOS to you. It was a move solely for personal preservation. He withheld information about Sahelanthropus from you out of fear that you would destroy it. This could have proved disastrous for mankind had the threat of losing his legs not been introduced. The reason that Sahelanthropus had become partially functional again for Liquid to escape was that he was secretly repairing it. This is evidenced by the children themselves before they left, telling Ocelot that he even agreed to let them use it. His disregard for the safety of children goes even deeper than that. After further interrogation and torture from Ocelot, Emmerich revealed that Strangelove was indeed with him all these years and assisted in creating Sahelanthropus. They formed a romance and eventually had a child they named Hal. But over time, Emmerich eventually grew to only view him as an opportunity to test his creations. He admitted that he would put Hal in the cockpit of Sahelanthropus and use him as a test subject in field exercises. When Strangelove became aware of this behavior, she would send Hal to America to be safe from his father's clutches. From here, Emmerich gives his own account of what happened. According to him, Strangelove became so distraught from being disconnected from her son and being forced to work for Skullface that she offed herself, leaving Emmerich alone and at the mercy of XOF, until you came and saved him. However, the mammopod revealed a much different and disturbing story. Upon landing on Mother Base, they opened the hatch at the top to reveal that inside were human remains. Strangelove's remains. On top of that, the mammopod recorded the audio of the inside from around 1 year ago. You can hear Strangelove banging on the walls, begging for Emmerich to open the hatch and free her, but there's never a response. This begging eventually goes quiet as you hear her slowly suffocate until her breathing stops. The story hypothesized from this is that Emmerich was enraged upon hearing his son and test subject had been taken away from him, and so he forced her into the mammopod and locked her inside. In other words, Emmerich murdered the mother of his son. But the final accusation is what put this trial in motion. The cause of the Wolbachia mutation was a radiator leak on the quarantine platform. But this radiator was built to be sturdy, so it's unknown how the leak occurred. That was until a message was intercepted by Diamond Dogs that came from Mother Base itself. It was an offer to the US from a certain person. This person wished for safe travel and citizenship in America. In exchange, he would give them access to a bioweapon unlike anything they had ever seen. A strain of the vocal cord parasite that is incurable. This mutation was also proven to be incurable, hence why everyone needed to die. The person who sent this message to the US was Emmerich. He was beginning to fear for his own safety here on Mother Base. So just like how he sent an SOS to you, he requested to be saved by another party. But he believed that this time he needed to offer something in exchange. So he sabotaged the radiator on the quarantine platform to cause a mutation within the vocal cord parasite. And all the casualties that day were simply guinea pigs to him. While he guilted you for shooting them in a fickle attempt at displaying a sense of morality and allegiance, he was the one who caused the mutation in the first place. The prosecution rested its case at this point, and Kazuhira had heard enough. He was guilty on all counts. While everyone in the crowd called for his death, you were the one with the authority. And to everyone's surprise, you chose to sentence him to exile rather than death. You believe that while he is an enemy, Diamond Dogs is not one to judge them. He was put on a life raft and sent away. His exolegs were too heavy and were about to sink the raft, so he had to throw them into the sea. He was back to being unable to walk. Emmerich was pushed toward America, where he wanted to go, but he'll have nothing to offer them, so he'll have to fend for himself once he makes it there. Whatever happens, it's none of Diamond Dog's business. Before leaving Mother Base, you decide that you should pay a visit to Paz and see if she's doing okay. Weirdly, there's an image of morpho butterflies outside her room on the medical platform. You disregard this and head inside. Upon entering, you can see that Paz is standing with her back towards you. Before you can ask her what the problem is, you see blood dripping from her stomach. She turns around, revealing that the scars left from the bomb extraction had been opened, and she insists that there's another. She digs into her stomach in a display not fit for this platform, while you stand there, too shocked to stop her. And what she pulls out is indeed a bomb. Before you can question how it got there, she begins to fall and the bomb explodes, with you caught in the blast radius. However, the scene that follows is you waking up as if the bomb merely incapacitated you. With no sign of Paz, the camera zooms out, showing that the room is completely gone, but with no indication that there was an explosion. That is because there was no explosion. This room is still being constructed. Paz was never on Mother Base. She's not alive. She didn't survive the incident 9 years ago, and it was the second bomb that caused the helicopter to crash. The story with the rocket being launched causing it was false, all a concoction of your own imagination, as was Paz being here. It was a manifestation of your regret not being able to save her that day. The second bomb should have been detected, but it wasn't. And so you felt better having imagined that you did, and that she was another survivor with the potential of living a better life. But with the knowledge of her truly being dead, you can move on. It's one less thing to worry about. You have more recreations to go over. Extreme Code Talker and Subsistence Occupation Forces. The goal of Extreme Code Talker is to make contact with the man of the same name. It's said that he has the solution and the cure to the parasitic infection that's killed many Diamond Dogs on Mother Base. The deployed soldier faced off against sniper skulls at the beginning. Much like in Extreme Cloaked in Silence, one shot means death. For this particular fight, that makes it many times more difficult, as 4 of them shooting at him is tricky to manage. He needs to move very slowly and very carefully choose each cover spot, as one wrong move could be fatal. With good enough strategy and equally powerful equipment, the soldier defeats all 4 skulls and moves on. From there, the mission is the same as it was originally, with the regular extreme mode additions, such as heavy infantry and no reflex mode. Once Code Talker explains the workings of the vocal cord parasite, the soldier takes him to the chopper and out of the mission area, with little resistance. Subsistence Occupation Forces is an exceptionally difficult mission to pull off without any equipment. Sakura E Village is already an uncomfortable base to move through due to its narrow paths and steep inclines, but with nearly every guard being heavy infantry, it effectively means that being caught is certain death, which is why the deployed soldier went for a separate strategy. With prior knowledge of the mission, he knows the exact route that the commander and his tank unit are moving, so by waiting in a spot where they're meant to pass through, he jumps out in front of them as a scare tactic. And while they're caught off guard by an enemy appearing out of nowhere, he Fultons them all one by one. It's an unorthodox method, but it worked very well. He then called the chopper and exited the mission area. As he showed, extracting the commander is easy. You receive a report after this that the sniper Quiet has gone missing from Mother Base. She went invisible before escaping on a helicopter. The reason for this escape is fairly complicated. Shortly before the incident on the quarantine platform, Kazuhira had Quiet tortured for information on XOF. It was already clear that she was originally working for Skullface, but the reason that she voluntarily let herself be taken to Mother Base when she could have evaded capture isn't known. And the reason that she changed allegiance to your side is even less so. Kazuhira goes to great lengths to get her to speak, even pouring salt water on her, which due to her photosynthetic body could prove fatal. But Ocelot intervenes and demands that she goes free.
What if she's a spy?
What if I'm a spy? Are you?
You both are. After they've all left the room, Code Talker approaches her and asks her if she understands him in his native language, Navajo, and she replies that she does. She reveals to him that the reason she doesn't speak is that she was infected with the last English strain of the vocal cord parasite. Her original mission was to infiltrate Mother Base and unleash the parasite by breaking her silence, killing everyone in Diamond Dogs. But after growing respect for you, she made a vow to remain quiet and fight at your side. The only reason that she doesn't attempt to communicate in any other way is that she still holds onto a sliver of a grudge against you. After this was when the mutation of the Wolbachia occurred. Fearing that any day her parasite could mutate in some way and end up spreading without her needing to speak English, she decided that she had to leave. You can't help but feel indifferent towards this news, as her being gone will both lower the risk of such a thing happening and lower tension around base due to her presence. However, her being out in the world could prove equally dangerous, if not more so. She could end up spreading it to other English-speaking countries, even if by accident. So you have to bring her back here to properly quarantine and treat her. The penultimate mission on the list is to capture Quiet and bring her to Mother Base once again, by force if you have to. The helicopter that she's suspected to have snuck onto had been traced to move to Afghanistan, so that is where you go. After finding an intel file in an unsuspecting home, you trace her exact location to the Mar Hate Palace. When you make it there, you see that she's severely weakened, to the point of being captured by the Soviets. After potentially days of torture from them, they decide to finally kill her by drowning. Little did they know, they were giving her exactly what she needed to strengthen herself: water. She burst from the water-filled dumpster, viciously attacking her captors. You offered help, but she didn't need it to kill all of them. By the time she's done, she's back at full strength. It isn't over, however, as the Soviets must have predicted that she'd be difficult to take down. Multiple tanks and soldiers are approaching. Quiet hands you a rocket launcher and perches herself at the top of the palace. The following fight is against 7 armored vehicles, 7 tanks, 1 gunship, and 30 Soviet soldiers. With the rocket launcher she gave you, you'll have an extremely difficult time, as it's a low-rank weapon that doesn't do a lot of damage. You'll often need to move back and forth rapidly between cover spots to get a shot lined up on one of the vehicles, all the while avoiding their fire. It starts off fairly easy, with all the vehicles keeping their distance. Only the soldiers will get close if you allow them. But once you hit the first and only checkpoint is when the fight starts to get truly difficult. It starts with an armored vehicle that can fire missile towards you, followed by one that moves on the road directly in front of the palace. From there, most armored vehicles and tanks will drive as close to the palace as possible, some dropping soldiers there as well. Some of the soldiers are snipers, which can knock you to the ground if they land a shot on you, leaving you open for other enemies to shoot you. With all of these things together, this can be considered by many to be the most difficult combat encounter in the game. With all of this opposition to deal with, you're likely to run out of ammo, so Quiet will occasionally exit her position to drop a supply flare at your location. While appreciated from you, it doesn't quite make up for the fact that she's truly unhelpful in this fight, offense-wise. Instead of aiming for the soldiers who can drop your health fast in groups, she opts to aim for the armored vehicles, which take a large amount of shots from her weak sniper to do any real damage. and dropping the supply flares only distracts her from being on the attack, especially when it's something you can do yourself quickly. When the gunship arrives is when it's near the end, so once you've dealt with that and the final wave of reinforcements, you finish the battle. However, before being able to celebrate your victory, the English strain realizes that one of the tanks was still operational. It fires at you and she pushes you out of the way, taking the full force of its blast. Another unnecessary move, as you have enough health to take one shot from a tank. Either way, this leaves her gravely wounded. There's another wave of reinforcements that's on its way. On top of that, a sandstorm kicks in, leaving you with very little visibility. The best option for you is to sneak past them instead of fighting. From here, you have to stay away from the enemy or else they shoot at you and the English strain. While this happens, she flails around, deliriously thinking you to be an enemy, even attempting to escape your grasp. Eventually, you decide to stay in one place and wait for the sandstorm to blow over. However, a Soviet soldier checks around this area and she flails around again, almost getting you caught, as well as catching the attention of a poisonous snake that bites you. At this point, you realize that there's a much easier way to deal with a situation like this.
Did you get her? The female sniper. Quiet. Cypher's assassin. Killing her would be a waste. Bring her back here. Boss. Boss. It's over. Good. That was your call. I just hope you won't regret it.
With the last strain of the vocal cord parasite eliminated, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Moving on. Extreme Sahelanthropus follows the events of Skullface. Liquid has taken over the upright mech through Psycho Mantis. After destroying the vast majority of XOF as well as crushing Skullface, it sets its sights on the deployed soldier. Sahelanthropus is the second of two major boss battles in the game, and the better one of them. Due to its obviously large stature, the soldier brings the best explosive weaponry she can. The fight takes place on a winding uphill road, giving the soldier good opportunities to move away and towards the mech. The battle begins with it using its metallic archaea weapon as a whip and hitting the ground, causing metal structures to appear from beneath. After enough time, they explode. This is a move that the skulls are able to do as well to a lesser extent, due to them utilizing metallic archaea as well. This version of the attack has multiple variants, one that sprouts metal from random locations, one that sprouts them in a single line, one that sprouts them directly under the soldier, and one that surrounds her with them. Luckily, they can be destroyed with bullets to escape. One thing that's important to note is that it's vulnerable at certain points. During specific moves like the metallic archaea attack, its chest will begin glowing orange. At those points, the soldier attacks there as much as possible to do large amounts of damage. It's most vulnerable when it roars, as there's no attack to worry about during these times. After its first move, it will likely start moving toward her while firing from its head-mounted guns. To further stop you from remaining stationary in one spot is the flamethrower it has attached to it. These are both easy enough to avoid by simply sprinting. It may also shoot homing missiles from its knee areas. These can be easily avoided as well, or shot to blow them up before reaching its target. A different move that follows the same principle is one where it launches homing missiles from overhead. The difference is that these take a few seconds to begin flying towards its target, but as long as the soldier keeps moving, they shouldn't hit her. For support, every time the soldier runs out of ammo on one of her weapons, a supply drop is called. Additionally, a support helicopter is called at random points. It uses its turrets and missiles to assist in doing damage. Occasionally, Sahelanthropus will get distracted from this. In response, it launches more overhead missiles, this time attacking the helicopter. You can prevent it doing too much damage by shooting them before they begin moving. The soldier can also bring their own vehicles to the battle, but even if she didn't, there are tanks parked around the mission area. This can of course be used to do extra damage to the mech. However, this can be undone by another one of its moves. It tosses a bomb that it has on its legs to cause a red mist to surround the entire area. On top of making it difficult to see around the soldier, it's also loaded with metallic archaea. Over time, it rusts every vehicle to the point of being unusable. After enough damage is done to it, it will jump to a cliffside and shift into a position similar to Metal Gear Rex. This is so it can use its railgun against the soldier. Her goal during this portion of the fight is to avoid its fire completely, as it's an instant kill. This is, however, simple to do, as it never changes positions during this phase. Once she finds one spot where it can't shoot her from, she stays there for the duration of that phase. Once finished with the railgun, it returns to the ground and the fight continues. The only major difference from here is that it begins to run instead of walking as it did before. When she has its health at a low point is when it begins to use one final move. It will hop to a nearby position before then leaping at the soldier full force. This triggers reflex mode, and you briefly see Psycho Mantis floating in front of you. If you shoot him, it causes the mech to briefly stop as control has been released. Its chest begins glowing as well, making it open to attack for a few seconds. Shortly after this, the deployed soldier defeats Sahelanthropus, putting an end to any nuclear threat and ending the final mission of the game. And with that, every mission on the list is complete. With every plot point completed and every loose end tied, Metal Gear Solid 5 is complete. There's nothing left to experience. It was a great game, and a great final entry in the series. You've witnessed your downfall with this story as advertised, and there's no better place than that to end this video. I hope you've enjoyed what you saw, and thank you for making it this far and seeing the truth. Seems we're in a hospital. After that whole helicopter business, we must be in pretty bad shape. Hey nurse, can you get me a glass of juice, please? I'm parched. What did I do wrong?
V has come too.
Ακούεις με? Can you hear me? Are you having difficulty speaking? Just nod if you can hear me.
You got it.
What is your name?
Oh, that's easy. It's AskYourUncle, but I also go by Jess, or Joe, or Joseph, or Guiding Key Submissive 08, but I'm just me. The viewer is who really matters here. So, Doc, how many weeks have I been out? I was supposed to visit my girlfriend in prison on the 18th.
I'm afraid it's been 9 years.
Oh. Oh no, she's free. So, from the shock of that news, we took another week's worth of sleep. Damn, that's a lot of shrapnel I took, along with some fragments of teeth and bone. That might have been from Paz. She was pretty close to me when we got hit. They got rid of most of it, minus just a little bit that's buried in our fucking skull. Like, that's definitely touching our cerebral cortex, isn't it? Maybe even the hippocampus. Where was that located again? I don't remember. But hey, we survived for 9 years. I'm sure we're just fine with that in there. I mean, all things considered, we were lucky enough to not lose anything from the crash. We simply gained shrapnel in our... Oh dear. And back down we go. It's now been 2 weeks since we've woken up. We overhear the doctor and the nurse arguing about performing a plastic surgery. Someone's in danger, and they have to change their appearance to keep them safe. Are they talking about me?
You should be dead, but you're not. The wheels are in motion. Your enemies are everywhere. We must alter your appearance immediately. Otherwise, I fear you won't leave this place alive.
But why? Who would want to murder someone so awesome?
This is you, as you've lived until this day.
Don't need to tell me twice, I know, baby. Look at that face. Shame to lose a handsome mug like this, but if we must, put me under.
Your face has healed nicely. To tell you the truth, these bandages were more for your protection. To hide you from those who want you dead.
Hey Doc, looks like I have a visitor. Doc, look behind you, I think she's killing the nurse. Doc, you should totally be able to hear that I do and my senses aren't fully back yet. Jeez. Well, at least I still have you, right? As long as you're oblivious to that, let me see those pictures. Yeah, I remember taking this one. Me, Kaz, Morpho, and... who was this? And I don't remember writing this. Doc, did you do something else to me while I was under? Oh well, no time to think about that. He's getting murked too. He tries to hand me a gun, but I crit fail and fall over. Poor doctor, we hardly knew ye. Oh yay, my turn.
Okay, have time to go.
Who are you?
Who am I? You're talking to yourself. Been watching over you for 9 years. You can call me Ishmael.
Why do I have the weirdest feeling of deja vu? I feel like you're supposed to sound like someone else. So we're off, but due to the fact that I'm still recovering from a 9-year-long coma, I can't really walk. Oh, look at that. You can see his back muscles moving. How far we've come with gamer technology. I can't wait to see that ever again. We're about to take the elevator down, but... Oh, it's Vulcan. How are you alive? A sprinkler activates, making him fuck off because I guess he's a fireman now. Hey, at least by getting launched down the hall, we gain the ability to walk again. Funny how that works out. Looks like the lady and Vulcan weren't the only ones after us. We've got ourselves a whole team on our asses. And they're, needlessly brutal in their search. They're killing every last person in this hospital. They probably know what we look like, and yet they're going for men and women that have nothing to do with us. I suppose appearances change, a man grows. Now's the time to play dead with the other bodies. These guys really want no stone left unshot, except when they turn me over, the only one besides Ishmael who's clearly alive and moving around. They just stare at me for a little bit until a Deus Ex Machina can come out. In this case, Vulcan again. It seems he takes bullets like a champ, as in he straight up absorbs them, and when the big guns are brought in like a rocket launcher, he's able to return to sender, hitting us in the process. As always, Ishmael's got it figured out. He picks up a pistol and shoots at a water pipe to make him fuck off again. Ishmael takes out another goon and gives us that pistol, so now we have our own means of defending ourselves. That always feels good. We're now in another room of guards. Ishmael decides to act as a distraction by Max painting his way down the stairs, leaving us to follow. It's our first independent stealth segment. All we've got to do is make it to the front door from here. We can just pop them all from a distance, but I prefer to make my presence a little known so they can start going upstairs to check who's there, leaving me to drop down and make my way out. Uh-oh, something's moving the rubble. Oh, it's Psycho Mantis. A real roster of familiar faces in this hospital, and look who's following behind. I'm sure you know the drill at this point. He fucks them all up, this time with the help of Mantis, who uses a helicopter to slice them to bits. Even an armored vehicle stands no chance against this guy. Well, it's giving us a distraction to run out. Well, that didn't last. Looks like we're done for, but Ishmael plows into him with a van, before we get in and drive off. Fucking weirdos driving on the wrong side of the road. Where even are we? Is that customary here too? Oh shit. Ishmael, you good? Ishmael? Ishi? Can I call you Ishi? You gotta wake up. Never learned how to drive. Please don't leave this to me, man. I can't do it on my own. It's not fair.
This way, boss. Hurry. Use that bike. It's tuned up and ready to go. Here. That's your name as of today. You best change your face, too. Don't worry. He can handle it. Move now. Quickly.
No time for anesthetic. We have to open her now.
Now do you remember who you are? What you were meant to do?
I cheated death thanks to you. And thanks to you, I've left my mark. Thank you, my friend. From here on out, you're Big Boss.
Metal Gear Solid 5 sucks, and I love it. What a title, right? That is a bold statement. That's what I do. I'm a good game bad actually YouTuber, or vice versa. Loathsome to a good many. But I hate to tell you that it's not true. That title is nothing more than a lie. I love this game full stop. It's far too underappreciated, and I wanted more people to recognize it. I told you that already. You just didn't think about the implications of that statement. Many things in this series were nothing more than lies. I fed you misinformation multiple times. I tried to be subtle by slowly ramping them up throughout the series, as well as distracting you from it from that whole killing more and more people subplot. Do you think I wasn't doing it the whole time? Of course I was. There's so much footage of me massacring my enemies from the beginning. You could even see some of it for yourself, right on this channel. You think I uploaded that for no reason, just felt like it? All those theatrics, role-playing as Snake, the spiel, putting on the old murderous coat, casting away my plans of being a pacifist? It was all just a diversion. The trumpet that played whenever I was about to kill was mine. I made it, obviously. The magic of video editing and basic knowledge of music making. Figured the symbolism behind it was obvious, what with a horn being stuck in my head throughout the plot and it only leaving once I embraced my given identity. I've been gauging how many of you noticed the lies. I told you, didn't I? I've been keeping a close eye on the comments for every part. There was more than one reason for that. Some noticed and said I was making mistakes, but trust me, I know this game better than you do. Some didn't notice. Maybe you didn't play the game, or perhaps you weren't paying attention. Could be that you listen to this in the background as you do something else or go to sleep. That's fine. That doesn't change the fact that you were lied to maybe 100 times. About the story, about the gameplay, misinterpretations of plot points and character motivations. Even my opinions weren't always accurate. For instance, I actually like Kiefer Sutherland as Snake. Can't imagine MGS5 without him. But I made sure you'd think otherwise, even saying that I would touch more on it later in the series when I never even planned on following through. Not the only time I pulled that stunt either. I'm not going to give you an example beyond what I've already said. You can find those for yourself. That's the intention. Look at the pinned comment on each individual part. I tell you that if you spot any mistakes, be sure to tell me and I'll correct them in the final video. I was never gonna do that. Hell, I put more of them in the final video. I only said that to encourage you to pay more attention and look out for lies. And just as I misled you, you were misled by the game. Venom Snake was not Big Boss. Venom Snake was the field medic. Venom Snake was the avatar you created at the beginning. Venom Snake was you. You're the result of a top-secret project by Zero to form a mental copy of the real Big Boss. And then the exact man you were referenced from used you as a decoy to bolster his own reputation while he abandons every connection he ever had to build his true outer heaven. And in the end, he sends you off to get killed by Solid Snake while he runs off to try again in Zanzibar land, like the scumbag people often don't recognize him as. This was not a game about the clash between Diamond Dogs and XOF. Who gives a shit about that? It means nothing to the lore of Metal Gear, a footnote at most. The characters didn't matter either. The entire cast is a walking graveyard whose contributions won't be remembered. And it wasn't about the downfall of Big Boss. He already fell, and we all missed it. No, this was a social experiment disguised as a game. If you think about it, the twist was kinda obvious. Kiefer Sutherland voices Ishmael and the medic. You were shown to be Big Boss post-surgery. The mammopod didn't recognize you. Your DNA wasn't a match with Eli's. It was even staring us right in the face before the game was even announced. Where's the horn? Where's the prosthetic hand? Must have been a retcon, right? That or nanomachines. But no, you never put two and two together. I didn't either. Despite the truth being screamed at me, I turned a blind eye without even knowing. And despite how brilliant this twist is, it still feels anticlimactic, doesn't it? You were just told that you meant nothing throughout the entire game. You're seen as someone you're not by everyone, including yourself for the longest time. And now all that's left is to keep playing Big Boss and die like a good soldier. Make no mistake, there is nothing else to this. There is no massive secret to be uncovered. There is no Chapter 3 piece. That image was probably put in the game files on purpose to fool you. Episode 51 is dust in the wind. Even if it was planned, it does not and likely never will fully exist. You can make wild theories all day about characters' identities being something completely different than what's revealed or what events truly happened, but you will never get a conclusive answer. because there isn't an answer aside from what you've already seen. You've missed the point by grasping at straws, and you're chasing phantoms. The reality is that what you see is what you get. Back in part 1, I said that this game was a puzzle that will be made clearer once pieced together. But the truth is, some pieces are simply missing, and they were never supposed to be there. All that's left after this is a phantom pain from the absence of them. You feel empty. This game left you feeling empty, just like this part of the series did. Part 5 kinda sucked, didn't it? My voice wouldn't leave this monotone. I barely used any variety when it came to music. I skimmed through the important bits. Indeed, I barely tried this time. Whether you called for a part 5 or not, it was always the plan for me to make one. But I was gonna have you wait, and maybe lose hope that it ever existed. And when that wait was finally over, I was gonna disappoint you. Each part of this video was a premiere upload with a heads up before release. But not this one. I shadow dropped it. The only people who could have had a clue were those who followed my little ARG. Throughout this whole thing, I left hints at something much greater going on behind the scenes. The trumpet, my repeatedly used phrases, the captions, the community posts, even my old channel from when I was 14 and extended video game music held clues. But clues to what? No one ever really figured out the final answer, although some really did try. So, I guess I'll just be generous and tell you. Oh, I'm sorry. Was this the part where you expected me to tell you that you were chasing phantoms? That there was no answer and that I've been tricking you? Quit patting yourself on the back, because you were wrong too. The answer is there in plain sight. But you were so entrenched in your own little lie that you couldn't see that now, could you? And for that, I think I'll keep it a secret. No point in ruining it because a few hundred people couldn't figure it out. If you're still interested, you're free to look closer like I've been saying the whole time. I'm telling you, it's real simple, baby's first ARG. But who knows? Maybe it's not done. Maybe it's hinting at something else, something unrelated. Something much larger than a YouTube video. Maybe the goose chase was tied to Metal Gear superfluously. Or maybe I'm lying to you again, and there really is no answer. That one's up to you. But the people that followed it aren't the only ones who are disappointed, are they? I designed this entire series so that no matter how you view it, you will get let down at one point or another. Of course, there's this part's existence. I was commended for ending part 4 the way I did. A perfect metaphor for the unfinished nature of the game. So why are we here then? I couldn't leave well enough alone? Exactly. You believed the ending of part 1 to be a metaphor, and then you believed the same thing of part 4, but you were wrong both times. Part 5 is the metaphor, just not the one you wanted. How about another way though? I'm sure you noticed the shift in tone the series went through. No, not from part 4 to 5. From 1 to 2. It went from general analysis to a hybrid between review and an abridged take on the game. And I ramped it up more and more until part 4, which even I can admit was borderline fanfiction. And I know that that shift let a good few people down. I mean, I've proven that I could do fairly decent analysis with part 1 in my non-Metal Gear videos. Why make the change? What a disappointment. And that's the theme for today. That big 14-letter word. Disappointment. We entered this whole ordeal with a very different idea of how it would end. And now, here we are. An overdramatic retelling of the plot that can't even remain consistent with an amateurish ARG shoved down your throat that gets no defined answer, with a narrator condescendingly explaining all that to you. I think it's fair to say that no matter who you are, gotcha. And it all culminates in this Part V. The black sheep that people wanted, but the ending was left once again unsatisfactory. Not even good enough to make it into the final product. And it's not going to change. I'm leaving you with a phantom pain, just like the source material. A comma where an exclamation point should be. And nothing following.